Welcome to another episode of my World of Tanks Debriefings. Here, this one is brought to you by Musarm, and it is a low. He's playing in the middle of a Tier 9 match here. He's sitting in the middle of the pack. And the other team seems to be pretty evenly matched. Everything lines up pretty well. I mean, they don't have the IS-3s that this team has, and that might be a downfall, but they do have an ISU, and if that thing's fully upgraded, that can certainly turn the tides on its own. Otherwise, yeah, the teams all look about even. So let's go ahead and get into the battle here with his Löwe, or Lion. I'll just call it the Lion because it's much easier for me to pronounce. And yeah, so the first thing I noticed is he's rocking gold ammunition, or what we call gold premium ammunition. And that is a much higher pin rate. It's 294 average versus 234. So you're getting an additional, what, 60 pin on top of your standard ammunition? So that really might change things up for this tank. Now, the thing is, normally I don't run premium ammunition, or at least if I do, I'm only running 5 rounds in it. But because of the simple fact that this is a premium tank, he actually can be profitable using all premium ammunition. And so that's kind of a good thing to do, because not only are you increasing your amount of damage done, which directly translates to credits here, but you're ensuring yourself a much higher, success rate because of the fact you're giving yourself additional pin, which may or may not help with some of the crazy tanks you may face or the angles you might have to fight at. So while you're doing a large initial investment there to get all those credits, you're gonna start earning back quite a bit more because of it. So first things first, he doesn't hit a guy from what I saw, and he already lost his commander with one hit, so he's gonna have to burn that health pack there, and he's going into the town. I mean, that's typically what I'm not sure I do personally. I don't know. In this tank of this map and this layout, I probably would either go where he's at right now or up in the the C2 area where the other tanks are, and that whole what do you want to call it? That little bend of the hill. This is a little more safer from artillery though, so this is probably a good spot, and then just play peekaboo in the buildings back and forth and just try and stick behind him until some of that artillery gets dealt with on its own, or you guys can make a concerted push here. Now he's just focusing back and forth on different targets, which isn't a bad call. I'd try and focus on one, that's because I do kind of get blinders from time to time. But yeah, his ability to kind of swap here back and forth between targets is great, but he's having to face down stuff like that where he's getting hit. And now he's already burned his health and his repair kit from just 2 hits, and he's already down to half health from those hits. So, oof, now he has an SU on his side. He's taking good hits, but luckily he doesn't suffer any damage from that hit. He could have really been hurt had that gone through. So, and now he's down to a quarter hit point, so he's not fighting too well at the moment. He's going to need to pick it up a bit, down to 31 hit points. So now he needs to play it a heck of a lot smarter. He's now really hurting. Gets lucky that there were some misses there. Definitely needs to get behind a building and take some cover. He's been taking way too many hits here. Alright, so what do we have team-wise? It's pretty even. They've killed the IS-8, which is a good call, and the Tiger 2. So now things are a little bit more even because they've lost an IS-8 as well. They still have the M103, who's a good player, against the IS-8 on this side, so we'll have to see what happens here. He could take out this, nope, doesn't need to. I was going to say he could take out that SU real quick, but he could also take out the T-34 if he had a pin there, but he didn't, so he's still alive and he's turned to face, so he needs to get behind that cover. I'm surprised artillery's not trying to splash him to death. He's getting lucky that they're not focusing on him. Another solid hit on that M103. If he focuses down that M103, he's actually going to be helping his team out very well. There we go, the M103 is exposing himself, and done. Good call. His team was able to push through that center part really quick there when all those tanks started falling left and right. That's when everyone's starting to take advantage of it. Ooh, they have an Object 704 on the other team. I didn't even know that. Yikes, so between that and the ISU, they could really do some heavy damage if they weren't already spotted and running. Now that T-32 up top, he's not really going to be too much of an issue with all these tanks around him. It's going to be this Object and that ISU-122 that could potentially start dealing some damage. Now, some things in the Sinner were to look at him, he might have some issue, but he's kind of keeping this distance. Ooh, that 32, I'd be afraid that he's looking at me, but luckily he's looking elsewhere. He's trying to shoot the medium on the hill on the opposite side. I think he's pretty much not taking or looking around to see what's available to him, because he would notice that he needs to either bug out or focus on something like this low. Wow, lucky bounce. So he's going to get a Spartan off that one, because that bounce would have killed him probably. Ooh, slight miss. But now the 32 is dead. All that's left is those two TDs that were sitting around on the hill. He should be alright after that. It's running around at 31 hit points, though, is pretty scary before he really was able to do too much. But again, I think that premium ammunition does make a little bit of a difference that he's using. I personally wouldn't swear by it. I mean, again, it's a huge initial investment, but what he's doing with it, using it in premium tanks, it does help offset the cost and will earn him more money in the long run. So it is kind of smart to do if you can afford that initial upfront cost. On the other hand, though, there's a lot of times that I come across tanks with the low that I really, or Lion, that I really don't see a particular need to be running the premium ammunition, because a lot of times your penetration of, what was it, about 240, so it scales up and down about 25%, based on, there's a lot of different little factors that go into it, but needless to say, I find a lot of times that you don't necessarily need the premium ammunition. You should be able to take on most tanks that you're going to fight with the Lion, just with your standard am, but it certainly doesn't hurt at all, and allows them those extra little bits of penetrations that normally would have maybe been a glance or a penetration for no damage due to like hitting one singular plate at a not so optimal angle and whatnot else. So he got lucky per se with some of these tanks not looking at him. Like this ISU and the 704 could have easily killed him had they been looking the right direction. And the artillery all this time could have been peppering the ground. So not too shabby what he's done here. Now if he just gets on cap and hopefully avoids the return fire of the GW Panther, he will have made a pretty decent game here. Again, he should make Spartan with the bounce of that one shell. And if I'm not mistaken, he may or may not get Confederate too. Well, there we go. Good job by him. Definitely the premium ammunition makes a big difference. Let's go take a look at the, what do you want to call that? The breakdown in the garage real quick. Alright, so while all he sent me here was the little victory page, it tells us pretty much the whole story. As you can see, 4,000 experience on a double is pretty impressive, to say the least. And he got Confederate. He didn't get Spartan, which I'm surprised about, but I don't know why he didn't. So, I mean, he got hit when he got hit, bounced a shell, and survived after he was below 10%. And I think that is what qualifies you for Spartan. But I could be wrong about that one. Either way, still got Confederate by hitting all those tanks. As you see, he had a lot of spot damage as well. Tons of spot damage. What is that? 3, 6, 7, and probably one more below it that we can't see, which is the GW Panther that he killed. He got quite a bit of experience and credits from that, on top of the fact he spotted, what, 4 different tanks? And yeah, ended up damaging at least 6. 6 that we can see here. He got the kill on the other one, so that one doesn't count. So yeah, qualified for his Confederate there. 125,000 credits. So that goes to show you he might have invested, I don't know, 125,000 credits in premium ammunition, because, I mean, now that you can pay just your standard credits for it, that might be the way to go when you're running a premium tank. But as you see, he earned a significant chunk here of credits, and running a crew with, what is it, 277% experience rating is not a bad deal either. So he's really buffed out this low to be a great tank for him, or again, Lion. But earning the mastery badge on this thing certainly deserved it after this battle. You can see that he really did some significant stuff. I'd love to see the team score and the detailed report to see just how much damage he did. I don't know if my video is recording the damage he did or if that's only on my end, but needless to say, he hit quite a bit of tanks, and the fact that he saw quite a bit of damage done to the tanks he was spotting at the time, that totally makes a big difference too. He really stacked it up. He went a great way in here. So I've got to say, this was a great battle that he was in. Good job, man. Thank you for sending this one in. And everyone else, keep sending them in to darqueling@gmail.com, and I will watch them. I will do my best to record on them all, and I will push them out as quick as I can. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next debriefing.